5, 4, 3, 2, unité, top. Allumage P80 et décollage de V18.
Of seeing those launches,
no,
do we?
it's always something very beautiful to look at.
So we're into it now. What happens? We track it now. Tell me what happens now.
Yeah, now we are in the phase that we call the P80 phase. It's the name of the first stage boosters, which allows us to get far from the launch pad. During this phase, we burn solid propellant. So the name of P80 comes from the amount of propellant that we have on board. So it's roughly 80 tons of propellant, slightly more. And during these phases, the launcher provides thrust and accelerations, and the separation of the stage will be triggered when the acceleration will get below a predefined threshold in order to get use of this mass, which is useless once you have used almost all the propellant inside.
When will the first separation take place?
The first separation will take place around 2 minutes after liftoff, so we should see it in a few seconds.
And you're monitoring. You're directly in contact with Kourou.
Yeah, I have a direct contact with the people who are getting the real-time telemetry data and who are monitoring the current status of the launch. So as soon as I will get the confirmation, I will let you know along all the mission.
And this is the next really important stage.
Yes, and the separation of the P80 has just been confirmed, and we have the ignition of the second stage, which we call the Zefiro 23.
So confirmation, the first separation has gone ahead as planned, which is what we were looking for.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Now it's the job of the second stage, which will increase still the launcher velocity and the altitude in order to provide additional energy to the launcher. And then when it will complete its job, it is exactly the same principle as for the P80. It means once we have used almost all the propellant that is inside the stage, we will trigger the separation, once again based on the detection of the acceleration.
Okay, and in any moment now, we're going to hopefully go back to Kourou through the space wall and see the team monitoring all the progress. I guess the ground station's giving all the information as well
exactly.
that they need. Great. You know, it just, this whole operation is supposed to take, what, 1 hour and 40 between launch and dropping off all the different satellites?
Between the liftoff and the separation of the Pléiades Neo 3, we have around 55 minutes. And up to the separation of the auxiliary passenger, 1 hour and 40 seconds, more or less.
And you never get tired of a launch, do you?
No, it's always something very beautiful to look at.
So just a reminder, the launch took off about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and we're now waiting for the next separation detail to come up, and you'll know about it very soon because Damien is in constant contact with the range manager, with Kourou, and I guess that's going to be imminent now.
We are getting close to the moment of separation, but we are still waiting for the final moment.
And just a reminder, you're watching us here from Toulouse, where Airbus has its headquarters, where the satellite was made. And I have Damien here from Arianespace giving me all the latest information. And I'm going to be joined here very soon by Raphael, also from Arianespace. Yeah.
I want to share with you the fact that the separation of the Zefiro 23 has been confirmed. And we have the start of the roll maneuver before igniting the Z9.
This is very good news, right?
And the fairing has been separated as well.
So that's great. So come on in now. So what we want to do now is we want to go through what the Vega launcher is like.
Exactly. And Raphael will present you.
Raphael?
Hello.
Let's go now through the magic of the studio and look at this Vega launcher. Launch rocket and take us through everything.
Come out of the ground magically. So it's actually, the Vega launcher is actually much bigger than this, of course. It's 30 meters tall. It weighs a little less than 140 tons. And it is composed of 4 stages, each playing a key role in the smooth execution of the launch mission. So the main stage that we see here is really the one who is going to put the Vega launcher out of the Earth to extract it from the gravitational effect of the Earth. You see also that there is like a conical interstage that is making the junction between the first stage and the second stage, which diameter is slightly reduced to 2 meters, and the first stage was 3 meters diameter. And then the third stage that just ignited, and it will do this for a couple of minutes, is there. It's 4 meters tall. And then, of course, right now, we saw that the fairing was separated in two halves. It means that we are beyond the limits of the atmosphere. We don't need the fairing anymore to protect the satellites from the frictions of the air, of the atmosphere. And also, doing so, we get rid of a dead weight that is not anymore useful for the rest of the missions. And of course, this phase is very, very critical because otherwise we would not be able to separate the satellites into space. And last but not least, you have the last stage, the AVUM stage, which will continue the mission. It's absolutely key because this is the one who is going to put the satellites at the right locations in space. It has a reignition capability, which is absolutely key, and I think we will talk about it later.
I'm sure you will. These are amazing pictures we're looking at. And while I have you here on my right is my other guru. We're now waiting for the next separation element, right?
The separation of the separation has just occurred.
It just occurred.
Yeah,
okay, that's very good news as well. Okay, so let's moving forward now from there. Go ahead, Raphael. What else can you tell us now?
Maybe on the AVUM.
Yeah.
So I said that it's absolutely key technology because, especially for capturing the small satellites markets, because these are very specific satellites that typically have very limited propulsion capabilities. So it means that they require the launch vehicle to separate them as close as possible to their operational orbits. And we do this with several boosts in order to address complex missions. And doing this, it allows us also to optimize the filling ratio of the launch vehicle in order to share the cost of the launch between all the passengers. This is like carpooling in space.
And that's the reason why we have Pléiades Neo, and we have 5 other smaller satellites who are all taking part in this ride together. It makes sense for everyone.
Exactly, from CubeSats to a little bigger satellites, it's very convenient to actually capture this market and to improve and augment the launch opportunities that we have with our launch vehicles.
And you're, of course, continuing to track what's going on there, right? And
we are currently in the phases just before the ignition of the AVUM, in the phases where we tilt the launcher in order to get the correct orientation just before ignition. And as soon as I have the information, I will let you know.
Okay. And that
ignition confirmed.
Ignition's confirmed. Okay. So now we have the AVUM, and that's all going well now.
It looks like it's going well, so it's a very key step right now because this is really the AVUM that is going to do the rest of the missions and to do the last orbital maneuvers in order to, like I said, separate the satellites one by one at very specific locations in space.
We have the confirmation of the cutoff of the first AVUM according to the timing and trajectory is completely nominal. Second ignition of the AVUM. So we have the confirmation that this AVUM second burn has been initiated properly. I have very good news to tell you guys. The separation has been confirmed.